Rob, moving on to Saturday morning. First up, we have a South African game. The Bulls travelling to Melbourne to take on the Rebels, who have got quite a few big scalps this year. Quite a tough one to call that, and I see the Bulls have made 7 changes there.
Yes, they have. They're trying to sort of freshen things up. They've really hit the skids a bit, the Bulls. This tour has been a bit of a nightmare for them. 0 from 3 as things stand. No Handré Pollard at fly half, although he's also lost a little bit of confidence in line with the Bulls, sort of imploding a little bit. So they're freshening up things a bit there. Jacques-Louis Potgieter comes into the channel. We know he's not got as much X factor. He'll probably be reliable. His goal kicking will be pretty decent if it comes down to that. But I think they will miss Pollard. They're still missing Jan Serfontein at inside centre, but Victor Matfield back in the mix, so back at the fulcrum of the pack. A little bit of pressure on the senior guys like Matfield and Piers Spies, who I thought was pretty disappointing last time out and took a bit of a roasting from a few critics. So a bit of pressure on the senior guys to deliver. Flip van der Merwe as well, who's supposedly sort of smoking a peace pipe with the Springboks for employment later down the line. So I think he'll want to try and show that he's up for possible sort of green and gold's return. Through slightly gritted teeth, because the Bulls haven't been playing very well, I'm going to venture that the Bulls might just edge this one. The Rebels coming off, of course, their South African leg, which ended up being unsuccessful. Laurie Weeks, their tight head prop, has his flurry of punches have seen him suspended and out of the season, basically, as they're done and dusted. So with not too much to play for the Rebels, you think maybe the Bulls should sneak this one, and if they don't, massive question marks about the current coaching regime, management, etc. at the Bulls, because their supporters will be very unhappy if they come back 0 from 4. So I don't think they will. I think they'll come back with perhaps an ugly, narrow win against the Rebels.
And sneaking into that playoff spot?
Possibly. It is still mathematically within their grasp, because if they do, especially if they get the 5 points against the Rebels, I'm not sure I back them to go that far, but if they do, they know that they've got a home game against the Cheetahs to end the season, and that really at Loftus, with respect to the Cheetahs, should be another 5-pointer. So this is the game that determines whether the Bulls can still hang in mathematically. I still don't think they're going to make it, as Garen says. I think there's only going to be room for one South African team, and that team will probably end up being the Stormers, but we'll wait and see. But I think the Bulls might just edge it.
Okay. Garen, next up, another side that is fighting to get into that playoff spot. Another former title winner are the Crusaders, playing in Auckland against the Blues. Minimal changes to that side, I guess, obviously after their win against the Hurricanes last weekend.
Yeah, and it's do or die for the Crusaders. 7-time champions, as you said. They were really impressive last weekend in mucking over the Hurricanes. Only the second defeat for the Hurricanes this season. The Crusaders know they have to pick up 5 points, because they've got a tough match away against the Brumbies in their final match. It still might not be enough, even if they do pick up 10 points in their last 2 games. But certainly this weekend, I think they'll be too strong for the Blues. Blues have got a number of injuries, concerns. They've actually got a couple of players at the World Under-20 tournament we saw in the first game. I think the only New Zealand franchise to have any players is the Blues. So they've lost a couple of players there as well. Even though the game is in Auckland, I still think the Crusaders will fancy their chances, and I think they are going to walk out winners there. I wouldn't be surprised actually if they scored the 4 tries. They're sort of on a roll. They've scored the most tries in this competition, believe it or not, even though I think they're down in 8th place or something in the standings. So they've played some entertaining rugby this season. So I'm going to go for the Crusaders to win and keep their hopes alive. Again, as I said, might not be enough, depending on the way other results go. But that's the sort of the conundrum that a couple of teams are facing this weekend. They're having to win and having to rely on other teams doing them a favour. So Crusaders for me by as many as 10 to 12 points.
Rob, the late morning game, the Reds hosting the Chiefs. The Reds, of course, out of it. The Chiefs could potentially take over the Highlanders in the New Zealand Conference. So, yeah, a big one for them.
Yes, they go into the game with sort of contrasting fortunes, because the Reds, although they're well out of the running, have been for some time. They're not showing any signs of just sort of going belly up for the remainder of the program. I think they seem fairly determined to end as high as they possibly can, and maybe just sort of get out of that sort of the nether regions of the table. They had a very good win against the Force last weekend, so confidence reasonably high, I would imagine, in the Reds ranks. Looking at their team, I think they're pretty close to full strength, really. So in Brisbane, they've certainly got a puncher's chance against the Chiefs. I would think, though, that based on just on superior log position and sort of desperation to get a favourable playoffs position, as you say, the Chiefs maybe just to edge it. Although this is so tight that I might even chicken out and change my Super Brew sneakily at the last minute, because I'm really teetering on this game. But let's say for the moment, Chiefs to take it. Brodie Retallick back in their second row, so their lock crisis is kind of coming to an end. I mean, we know what a massive figure he is. He's almost their sort of, very much their sort of the Ibn Etzebeth of the New Zealand rugby setup. Very respected young lock, and having him back, I think, will make a big difference to their pack. So let's say at this stage, Chiefs to edge it by perhaps 3 or 4 points.